Hello, welcome to another episode. I'm Charles, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Binance Coin, or the BNB token. I'm not paid or sponsored to make these videos. All the opinions expressed in today's episode are just my own thoughts and views. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification button, and join me in my Telegram chat group. I'll put the link down below in the description. The video is going to be divided into 4 parts. It's a SWOT analysis. So I'll be talking to you about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats facing Binance. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you stay around because there's loads of graphics and stuff that's going to come up on the screen for you. So it should be exciting. Let's get into it. So what is Binance Coin? What are they trying to do? And of course, no discussion of Binance Coin could be done without also talking a bit about the Binance Exchange and really the whole Binance ecosystem. So I really am going to be going back and forth between everything that Binance is doing, but the sole focus of this video is the BNB token. So I think we can begin today's episode by really asking ourselves, what does the word Binance stand for? So Binance stands for binary and finance. Trading pairs, basically. And the Binance Trading Exchange and the proprietary token BNB are the brainchild of Chinese-Canadian businessman and CEO Mr. Changpeng Zhao, commonly known as CZ. So CZ built a system for matching trade orders on the Tokyo Stock Exchange before developing futures trading software at Bloomberg in the early 2000s. CZ then went to work on at blockchain.info before serving as a CTO of OK Coin Exchange, leaving the company to establish his own exchange, the Binance organization, in the early part of 2017. After recently establishing a permanent base in Malta, Binance has expanded into Africa with Binance Uganda. In Q2 of this year, CZ actually revealed that Binance Singapore will launch its first fiat-to-crypto platform in Asia by the end of this month. The Binance organization, as I see it, is really divided up into 8 core areas of expertise. Firstly, you have the centralized Binance Exchange. Then you have the decentralized exchange, followed by Binance Chain or the Binance Blockchain, Binance Launchpad, Binance Labs, Binance Academy, the Blockchain Charity Foundation run by Binance, and finally, Trust Wallet. If you look at something like the Binance centralized exchange, we could say that its value proposition hinges on the sheer number of transactions happening on the network. The high volume of people buying and selling on Binance's centralized exchange means it's very easy to sell at close to market price. And then you've got the Binance decentralized exchange, which allows users to trade cryptos while retaining full custody of their own funds. Binance Chain is actually a forked edition of the Tendermint consensus protocol. And in case you didn't know, Tendermint uses a Cosmos software development kit, which is a variant of the proof of stake model, and will start with 11 validator nodes on its testnet. And this brings us to the Binance Chain. Binance Chain is a new blockchain and peer-to-peer distributed system developed by Binance. Trade pair matching happens within blockchain nodes, and all transactions are recorded on-chain. BNB, which is currently an ERC20 token, will be migrated over to the Binance Chain to become a new native token. However, that said, rollbacks cannot happen on Binance Chain, which is when different nodes choose the longest chain to decide which is the correct version of the blockchain. And this is a key part of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. It really raises a question over whether the Binance Chain platform is actually decentralized. And then we have the Binance Launchpad. The Binance Launchpad is an ICO and token sale platform for new or highly anticipated coin offerings and just seeks to sanitize and thereby add a degree of legitimacy to crowdfunded projects. And this leads us to Binance's business arm, Binance Labs. Binance Labs is the venture arm of the organization and markets itself as an incubator, investor, and empowerer of blockchain-based startups. We are told that Binance Labs places more emphasis on, and I quote, infrastructure impacting technologies, end quote, providing seed capital, mentorship, and other resources to projects that would otherwise lack the necessary assets for success. And then we have the academic research arm of Binance, Binance Academy. Binance Academy is just a repository for understanding different blockchain projects and functions, according to Binance's Chief Growth Officer, Mr. Ted Lin, as a crypto codex. The seventh area of expertise is the Blockchain Charity Foundation. The Binance Blockchain Charity Foundation uses the immutability of the blockchain to record Binance's philanthropic works. It also serves as a cost-effective way of bolstering the company's PR. And I'll be talking a little bit more about the Binance charity later on in the video. And finally, we have Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet was acquired by Binance in 2018. Trust Wallet is a decentralized mobile-first application for managing tokens and private keys. The wallet application will be the first application to support integration with the Binance Decentralized Exchange and is a member of the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability, which is a consortium that also includes companies such as Shapeshift, KeepKey, and Mycelium. So the first part of our analysis is looking at some of the pros behind Binance Token. I think the first thing that really stands out for BNB is that every quarter Binance uses 20% of its profits to buy back and destroy Binance tokens. So we've got to buy back and burn. And this really reduces the liquidity of the coin itself and increases its value. So basic supply and demand, in other words. In total, Binance plans to burn 50% of its coin supply, or 100 million coins. All buyback transactions are publicly announced and accountable. And then we have CZ. So this is a big deal. Binance has a face. You know, if something like Poloniex, Bittrex, or OKX go down, there is no one to hold accountable. Because CZ has staked his reputation in the functioning of Binance, the Binance Exchange has a higher degree of brand repute. So in other words, CZ just lends a heavy dose of accountability to the Binance trading exchange in comparison to all its other competitors, which basically are faceless. No one seems to know who's behind those corporations, whereas everyone can relate to Binance. It has a human touch, so to speak. And I think the reason why Binance has really been able to do so well, and this ties into its value proposition, as I said earlier, with so many people using the exchange, is its low trading fees. So Binance charges 0.1% fees for crypto traders, but users receive up to 25% off by paying for fees using its proprietary BNB token. I think the thing I like about the BNB token is that BNB token holders actually get discounts, but they're not discounted from the user's trading balance, making the transaction process more seamless and user-friendly. So there's less room for error, there's less confusion when it comes to actually using their token because it doesn't take it away from your actual profit and loss on the exchange. The fifth thing to note with Binance is that it's actually the king of liquidity and is currently responsible for just under a quarter of all Bitcoin trades, boasting a 24-hour trading volume at the time of recording of $761 million. And I think the final positive looking at Binance Coin, and one of the things that really make it stand out from all the other exchange tokens, is that fractional currencies, loose change in other words, can be converted over to the BNB token. And that's just smart, isn't it? Because it just lends another use case, another reason to go out there and get the BNB token, because it's no effort on your part. You know, many people use Binance. If you have fractional reserves, loose change left over from a previous trade, you can just press a button and bang, you've got BNB tokens. And now we get to the weaknesses. So don't think I'm going to be all soft on Binance. There are many things I don't like about the exchange, and there's many things I don't like about BNB as a coin. I think the first thing that really caught my attention was that Binance Coin is highly centralized. It's a centralized token and it's entirely dependent on Binance development. I mean, it is, isn't it? BNB has little or no liquidity on other exchanges, and if its parent company experiences any troubles with rivals or any future potential compromises on the exchange itself, this could cause the BNB token price to drop dramatically. The second concern I have with Binance is Sinoa Capital. So in mid-2018, Binance actually got embroiled in a feud with Silicon Valley-based investment firm Sinoa Capital. Negotiations between Sinoa and Binance fell through, and the latter thought they were actually worth more. The problem got so bad that CZ had to take to Twitter, stating that the exchange, and I quote, may soon require all projects applying to list on Binance disclose that they have any direct or indirect relationships with Sinoa Capital. I think the real worry for me when I look at Binance as a trader is that you can't short on its exchange. I mean, that's just a joke. Binance does not allow for margin trading, shorting, or advanced order types, and it does not allow for fiat trading in the US. Now, obviously, I'm from the UK, as you can probably tell, but if I can't margin trade, if I can't short the market, then I'm going to go somewhere else and use somebody else's exchange, and that's exactly what I do. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Charles, well, fair enough, you can't short on Binance, but everyone else likes it. Well, the fourth reason why I don't like Binance is the user interface. It's just terrible in my opinion. On April 2nd, 2018, the Binance UI crashed following a massive surge in market activity, prompting one user on Reddit to say, and I quote, "What's wrong with Binance? Logged in 7 times and again the app logged me out. What a crappy app," end quote. And indeed, this has actually happened to myself. Technology needs to work. If Binance was an artificial ventilation machine or a control panel on a fighter jet, you'd be dead. I mean, they need to sort it out. And the fifth thing that I don't like about Binance is really how the token's used for its ICOs. So BNB tokens are used to fuel ICOs and IEOs on the Binance Shillpad. I meant to say Launchpad. Yes, Launchpad. So the Binance Launchpad, I mean, it's a given. It does lend a degree of credibility and visibility to upcoming blockchain projects. However, there is nothing to really stop Binance from receiving the majority share of these ICO tokens in exchange for being the market maker. A market maker is just an agent that provides liquidity on the exchange. And this position of power could be used to inflate the ICO's token price and thereby its demand. So we really need to ask ourselves, is there a degree of price manipulation at play with this whole Binance Launchpad thing going on? I'm not saying it's happening, I'm just saying we need to be open-minded with these things because cryptocurrency as a whole is a very unregulated area. And I think the fifth and final concern I have with Binance is this whole notion of its in-house charity, the Binance Charity Foundation. So I did some research into this, and an investigation carried out by Decrypt Media at the end of last year questioned the philanthropic nature of the Binance Charity Foundation, stating, and I quote, "The use of Binance tokens over real money, which can only be exchanged for approved goods, sounds like it would lock recipients into a closed feedback loop of token dependence." Decrypt Media go on to question whether charitable recipients of Binance are ever truly free to spend as they please, and if such donations can be converted, at whose command. So I know, you by this point you're probably thinking, Charles, you've gone too far, you're being very, very harsh, very critical, too critical with Binance. Well, we haven't got to the end of the video yet, but there are many reasons to be bullish on the BNB coin. The first reason is really a strong market fit, a strong market use case. Binance has created a need for the BNB token in an effort to stop whale price manipulation during IEOs or initial exchange offerings on its launchpad. Users who wish to participate in Binance IEOs must now hold the BNB token for 20 days prior to the IEO's launch. The more Binance coins a user holds, the greater chance of participating in the launchpad. As more IEOs launch, more users will be attracted to the Binance launchpad, thereby inflating the price of the Binance coin. The second reason to like Binance is merchant adoption. So in mid-March of this year, Binance posted a tweet that listed more than 50 merchants and cryptocurrency projects that were already using the BNB coin. Prominent members included in the tweet include HTC, CoinGate, Crypto.com, Trezor, and Pundi X. And this really ties into Binance's aggressive referrals campaign. Binance operates an aggressive referrals campaign with a strong media presence. This, coupled with its double referrals reward program, has allowed Binance to consistently weaken the competition. And I think part of this is really the deflationary aspect behind the BNB token. Binance knows how to tackle inflation and really create value. The BNB coin burn created 5% deflation in 2018, which contributed to BNB's strong performance versus other cryptocurrencies during the 2018 bear market. And this really ties into Binance being very proactive. So because it knows all its hard work can be done as a cryptocurrency trading exchange in just one single hack, Binance created an indemnity fund in July of 2018 to guard against compromises on the system. Binance's Secure Asset Fund for users allocates 10% of all trading fees to a trust that provides insurance for potential hacks and breaches. This just goes to show you that Binance already had the cultural competence to cleverly co-opt the SAFU meme to make up the fund's acronym and name. It just goes to show that they're already 2 steps ahead of all the competition. And I think the final point with BNB is that the token's long-term technical analysis is very strong and very likely to continue moving along that ascending trend line. So now we get to the threats section of the video, and I think many of the threats actually come from a channel called Crypto Chico, a YouTube channel which is operated by a Mr. Tyler Swope. And it could present an existential threat for Binance, because it doesn't matter when you're dealing with a financial instrument whether the news is true or false. What matters is it's already out there, and that's damaging enough. So Binance is either going to have to find a way to placate Mr. Crypto Chico or work with him in some capacity. So I went through about 12 or 13 of Mr. Swope's videos, and I tried to take as much information as I could. It was difficult because I don't want my video to be too long, and you can always check out his channel anyway. So I think on the first video, dated November 24th, Mr. Swope actually called Binance, and I quote, a shady pump and dump wash trading and greed-filled exchange, end quote. And on the 9th of February this year, Mr. Swope also claimed that Binance was extorting projects via listing fees, citing Digibyte and Elastos as examples, stating that both projects, and I quote and paraphrase so it's more legible for you, won the community vote to be listed on the Binance exchange, yet Binance then demanded outrageous listing fees above $1 million, end quote. Mr. Swope then continued in the February 9th video, stating that Binance, and I quote again, tried to damage Elastos's reputation by saying that they used bots to win the community's vote on the trading exchange. And in a later February 19th video, Mr. Swope continues with the allegation that Binance conducted opposition research against Blocknet involving Neo's CTO, Mr. Eric Zhang. However, I looked into this more deeply, and CZ actually tweeted that an Eric Zhang working at Binance also shares the same name as Neo's CTO. CZ also referenced Cunningham's Law in his tweet, which, in case you didn't know, states that the best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer. And I think if we backtrack a little bit and look at the Binance Exchange, we can see that in Q3 of 2018, Binance actually changed its listing fee policy, stating that all listing fees will be donated to its in-house charity called the Blockchain Charity Foundation. And we are told that there is no minimum required listing fee and that all coin listing fees would be fully transparent via the immutability of the blockchain. In a two-part video shown on March 13th and March 28th of this year, Mr. Swope presents evidence to the contrary, making the argument that such listing fee arrangements could facilitate backroom deals and cement Binance's position of power by locking in cryptocurrency projects through non-disclosure agreements. This brings me to the third threat facing Binance and its charity. The Binance Charity Foundation operates mostly in Africa and is run by the charity's chief operating officer, Miss Helen Hai. However, a recent article published by Corin Faith of the Breaker Mag website, which was also referenced by Crypto Chico Mr. Swope, discusses a possible conflicts of interest that Ms. Hai represents due to her business involvement in the Greater East Africa region. So I think what irritated me with some of the analysis I saw on the Crypto Chico YouTube channel, and I'm not saying that his analysis was right or wrong, is that Crypto Chico completely ignores the practicalities of business. You know, successful businesses are cutthroat by default, and I do not agree with Chico Crypto sensationalizing his attacks on one individual, CZ. The Chinese general and military strategist Sun Tzu put it best when he said that all warfare is deception. Sun Tzu also said that a good commander is benevolent and unconcerned with fame. In other words, if you want to strike at your enemy, you have to ingratiate yourself to him and then attack. That way your words would carry more of an impact. Standing from the sidelines telling people how much you dislike a multi-billion-dollar company because of its supposed moral vacuity is not going to raise any eyebrows. If anything, people are just going to look at you and think that you're the one with an agenda. And I think the second risk, the second threat facing Binance is really the Howey test. The BNB token, in theory at least, could be classed as a security, according to the SEC. The Howey test, which was created to determine whether certain transactions are investment contracts, defines a security as an asset that 1 is an investment of money with 2 the expectation of profits from that investment, where 3 the investment of money is in a common enterprise, and 4 the profits that accrue from that enterprise stem from the efforts of a promoter or third party. Now, because Binance used their profits to burn BNB, thereby driving profits up for token holders who could be construed as shareholders, one could make the argument that Binance Coin is a security and that there is an expectation that price will increase in the future, and profits could be interpreted as a form of dividend payout. The fifth threat facing Binance and indeed its decentralized exchange are coin listing fees. Binance Chain will charge approximately $100,000 to list new coins. And let's not forget, listing fees are a form of centralization. What's the point of going all out, going decentralized, when you're going to be putting mechanisms in place to centralize the process? It doesn't really add up. And as I've said before, BNB is a highly centralized coin. Binance holds 48.2% of the BNB token supply, with the top 4 addresses on Etherscan collectively controlling 65% of that coin supply. In conclusion, business, and I know it's a cliche, but it is a Darwinian struggle. Some ideas succeed, most fail. On the surface, BNB is a success due to its price history having an inverse relationship to the price of Bitcoin. BNB made a 4x return since Bitcoin's all-time high of December 2017, when most of the market was in a downtrend in the succeeding year 2018. BNB was in an uptrend. Because BNB's coin supply is deflating and not inflating, investors are more likely to hold BNB coins as scarcity is already baked into the project's functioning. Despite this, BNB Coin has lots of centralized control and has more in common with a Fortune 500 company than with the original values set out in the Bitcoin white paper. Decentralization and the libertarian concept of freedom are redirected in the pursuit of capitalism and private ownership, specifically Changpeng Zhao's private ownership. But who needs ideologies when you're making money? So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification button, and join me in my Telegram group. I'll put the link down below in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.